What's going on, everybody? This is an episode from the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast. Do you like podcasts and you want to see the full podcast? Make sure you check out the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast on all your podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, among many others. But you're listening to the episode right here on YouTube, so make sure you hit that like button and below, and make sure you hit the subscribe button to NC Studios and NC Level Up for all your gaming needs. This is the Nerd Coalition. Enjoy the show. Let's move on to what WrestleMania was after it went off the air, because on the same night, on the same weekend that WWE had its biggest event of WrestleMania, we had also a Broken Skull Sessions with an AEW star in Chris Jericho. So I was like very intrigued by this, and I was just like, okay, cool. I can't wait to see. I wonder what they're going to talk about. I wonder how these things are going to work out, especially with this guy being in AEW. And I know Chris Jericho is probably not going to hold back with too much, but I think I had a really nice conversation. Will they bring on any more AEW guys on there? Absolutely not. They're not going to interview Cody. Y'all can forget that right there. Would you say, Pro?
I doubt it.
Highly doubt it. So we're going to go into just a quick review of the Broken Skull Session with Chris Jericho. Some of the takeaways that you see in the interview and things like that. Do you have any big takeaways that you've seen prior that he talked about?
I'm just glad that they was able to be open on there.
Say what?
I'm just glad they was able to be open on the episode, like not trying to sugarcoat anything. Like they just went right into the AEW thing and why he left, and they openly talked about it. Not just well, what you been up to? Well, I just been chilling at my house for the past 3 years. Yeah, they actually went into what he's doing, and they went into detail about it. Tony Khan and all that. They use names.
Yes.
So I'm glad.
Like I'm glad when he talked about him leaving, which. That when WrestleMania 33 came around and Jericho and Owens had one of the biggest storylines going in there, and we felt as though that they were going to do Jericho versus Kevin Owens for the championship at WrestleMania. That's what I thought he was going to do, because remember KO had the Universal Championship.
Mm-hmm. They could have went one or two ways for that one too. They could have had Jericho win the Rumble. I always still think Jericho should have won the Rumble that year.
He should have. Because first of all, who won the Rumble in 2017?
That's the Texas one.
That's the one was they were dubbed as the All-Star Royal Rumble.
The Texas one, Orton.
Yeah. Why? Oh my God, that was dumb. Because remember. Jericho was going around calling himself the 61-minute man.
Yeah, because he was in there for the longest that year.
Exactly. And I was like, just have Jericho win. Because first of all, Kevin Owens, he had that good breakup with the Festival of Friendship.
I will say, whoever won that year, they would have to do the breakup storyline anyway, because their challengers was champions.
Yeah.
So if Jericho would have won, he would have had to fight his friend. If Wyatt would have won, they would have had to break up. Or it would have won, they would have had to break up him and Wyatt. So either way, they would have to do the breakup angle, but they should have used it on Jericho and KO.
Yeah.
Then they went on second.
And the match went on, and without even the Universal Championship, because you know why? Because Goldberg destroyed Kevin Owens at Fastlane.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, Goldberg and Lesnar don't need the Universal Championship.
It don't.
It did not. And honestly, that would have been Owens and Jericho would have been a good enough match to promote and actually, because Jericho wouldn't mind putting Owens over. This is Jericho we're talking about here.
Yeah, but I think he had checked out as well.
Who, Owens or Jericho?
I think Jericho checked out when he was on second.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would have checked out too.
No, what I'm saying, the match was okay, but it wasn't good. And people was like, "Oh, Jericho still having that." He went to New Japan and had great matches, and AEW having good matches. So I think he was just checked out at that match, and he was probably upset.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I'll be upset too.
I mean, I like hearing that story because I was always like, yo, why didn't they do that? They just put the championship on Goldberg to get it back on Brock again, and I'm like, but y'all could have had Jericho and KO because they ended up fighting for the United States Championship.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, man, this story, this build up that they had was so rich that it was going on for almost a year. The whole that they had with KO and Jericho, it deserved to have that.
I think it went on over a year because I think just alone them two feuded with Seth for a whole year. So.
Well, no, remember because it started in. Oh wait, okay, damn. When did? Because remember, Kevin Owens decided to be Jericho's partner.
Joke,
huh?
I said it was a joke.
Oh, I was about to say. I was thinking like
him and KO definitely feuded with Seth, and it felt like it was like a whole year feud.
Yeah, because they was in like all these matches together like over and over. I was like, my God, but it was like from like August, and I was just like,
That's that when they had a pay per view every 2 weeks, so it was like Raw pay per view, Raw pay per view, Raw pay per view, and just fighting.
Exactly what it was. Because that's when he teamed up with him to face Enzo and Cass at SummerSlam. And yeah, we had that whole storyline then. So it was a rich storyline the way it paid off with Jericho on the list. And he was just like, look, I know I wasn't going to come back. And then, of course, they had the whole issue with the greatest Royal Rumble. Remember, it was supposed to be Jericho versus Undertaker in a casket match. Then you faced it with Rusev. Then went back to Jericho. Then went back to Rusev.
No, it was Rusev first.
Oh, Rusev first. Then went to Jericho.
And I think Rusev, they had a fake headline. That's why they took Rusev out the match. But then they was like, oh, wait, the headline is fake. Okay, we're going to put Rusev back in the match. And then, then it was like, well, dang, we still got to use Jericho. So I guess we'll just use him for the Royal Rumble, the greatest Rumble.
Yeah, well, they also, Jericho also had that match with Naito also. He asked for permission with Kenny Omega. But he went over there and did a match with Naito also that pissed Vince McMahon off. Because he did two matches.
He did Naito and he did Omega. I mean, he did Naito and he did Okada. And he did another one after that, Evil. He did a lot of matches, actually. Now that I think about it, he did like 5 matches in Japan.
Yeah.
Because he had the title. He had the Intercontinental Championship for a while.
Exactly. So then then it goes on to why he left. Another story that I always hear all the time, but which is great, is why he left WCW and the whole Greenberg thing. You know about the Greenberg thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah. To me, that is one of my favorite Chris Jericho stories because I remember, as much of a Goldberg fan I am, I remember when that whole thing happened. I was like, yo, I want to see Goldberg destroy Chris Jericho. And like he said, it would have been the greatest squash match ever. Because you are paying for Goldberg to come and beat the shit out this guy. And he comes and he's going to go do that. And like I said, Goldberg, it's all it was, but just build it up. But once again, Goldberg felt as though that he was beneath. He was above Chris Jericho. Because, you had the Hogans and stuff in his ear and all that stuff like that. So I felt as though that was an opportunity that was just wasted, in my personal opinion. They also talked about, which I never knew about, the saddest world title win. When he first won the Undisputed Championship. Really?
You haven't heard that story?
I never heard that story before.
I've heard that story about 5 times.
This is the first...
The one when he was like, I had to get a hotel and I had to eat pizza by myself. The pizza was cold and
he dropped the pizza.
To celebrate. Yeah, he dropped it. Yeah, he had to rinse it off. Fill off.
I was like, "Yo, this night can't get no worse." And here it goes.
Have you never seen Jericho stand up?
I ain't know Jericho did. Only wrestlers that know how to do stand up is Mick Foley and Dolph Ziggler.
Okay, so Jericho, well, it's not technically stand up. It's like he basically tells his stories, but he tells it in stand up form.
Okay.
Like he has the joke, he has a story, then a joke, and then the punchline. So I think you should watch that because I think it makes his stories more interesting. It's like all the stuff you heard, but just funny. It's like basically like it's like Stone Cold telling the Garden story, but with more comedy.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I might want to check that out. See,
Maybe an impression here and there.
God, I was like, yo, I did not know. He said he was over here. Undertaker talk, Vincent Undertaker talk like, the company's going to transfer. He put the belt on Chris Jericho. I was like, damn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really? After he beat The Rock and Stone Cold in the same night?
Yep.
Which, by the way, he ain't had a title that long anyway because they took it off of him at WrestleMania.
Yeah, but it's like that run was terrible anyway because he was when he like the chauffeur for Stephanie.
Oh yeah, so he was teaming with Stephanie, but first of all,
Mm-hmm.
his 2008 run with the title was better.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, then his 2001 run with the title. And what was the other story that I liked that he was talking about? That
Was it the Shawn Michaels story?
yeah, the Shawn Michaels one with the match at WrestleMania where he wrote out the bottom half, but he knew how it was going to start, and Shawn wrote out the beginning, but he knew how it was going to end, and they kind of like put them together to make the match. He said WrestleMania rehearsal only took 10 minutes. I was like,
Oh wait, no, okay, that's a different one. Oh my bad.
well, which one are you talking about?
I thought the ladder match.
Which one about the ladder match?
No, he was just telling the story about how that's his favorite match, and he always loved the match. He said the WrestleMania match was okay, but he always loved that ladder match for the championship.
Yeah, the one at No Mercy, right?
Yep. And then they watched some of it.
The one where literally he almost died.
Which time?
No, remember when Shawn Michaels... Okay, so Jericho's climbing up for the ladder, right? And you know how usually they tip it, like they'll be in the front of you, and the tip it so you can go backwards, and then, the ladder will fall, you'll go into the ropes. Shawn Michaels tips it from the other end, the side that Jericho's going up, and he's like near the top. So the ladder is going forward while he's going forward with the ladder. And it's just like, yo, how the hell do you brace your fall? Because you go that the opposite way, and then you go get on time for your. And he like caught himself on the ropes and then knocked himself out the ring. I was like, yo, because that could have been a catastrophe.
Yeah, there's that one. There's the other spot where they were both hanging from the top of the belt, like literally hanging from the belt.
Yeah.
From the ladder, and then the one where Shawn almost gave him a concussion or did give him a concussion when they were on the ladder by the announce table, and they both crashed, and Shawn all the spot weight landed on Jericho's head.
Yeah. So there was numerous times.
Should have told the story about when he punched this fight.
About when he, I'm about to say when he, I do remember the one you punched his wife for real.
That. Oh man.
Yeah. So, the whole thing, like I said, I every now and then watch the Broken Skull sessions, and then, if they're good ones, the Randy Orton one was actually pretty good also.
Yeah, sometimes they just be too long, though.
I mean, it's like when he had Bret Hart on there, I was like, damn, Bret Hart is sitting there just rambling about everybody that can't work. I was like, I love Bret, but Bret take himself too seriously sometimes.
Well, you see this guy Seth Rollins, he hurts everybody he's in the ring with.
Yeah. Goldberg almost killed me, man. I'm like, oh, all right.
I mean, he's right.
He right though, but I'm just saying, but
if somebody almost killed me and they still working, I would be the same way too.
But here's the thing though, he claimed out his mouth that he forgave Goldberg.
Well, he didn't forgive him enough.
Yeah, but you
can forgive somebody and still not forget.
And I'm like, okay, this is wrestling. These things happen.
That's like I forgive you for kicking my head off, but then telling somebody else, hey, he got a kick, so be aware. Don't look out for that kick. If you kick your head off, for real.
And I don't see Goldberg doing that super kick no more.
Because he can't get his leg up that high.
Cause I seen that match with that Mayhem. Oh God,
I don't even remember.
Remember that shit? WCW. Make sure you guys subscribe and get the pay-per-view for WCW Mayhem, which turned to a game, which just turned to just the worst thing.